because we are now going to move on to pubs and whether they should be allowed to stay open later. Now, the government is reviewing licensing rules with the view to let pubs, clubs and restaurants in England and Wales open until the early hours of the morning. It's part of a strategy in order to help the hospitality sector. Lots of pubs are struggling at the moment, as we know, nearly 300 closed last year. So is this the answer? Hospitality bosses say that it will be a huge boost, but critics are worried about sort of drunken behaviour, noise perhaps, and more problem drinking. What do you think? 0207 862 2222 is the number. Give us a ring. Do you love the idea of a late night dinner and staying out to the early hours, or are you worried about it leading to more antisocial behaviour? Maybe you live near a pub and you're worried about the noise level, for example. Is this something that you think would help these businesses more? Crystal, pubs are closing at a rate of knots. You probably enjoy going to a pub. Is this a good idea? Will it help the hospitality industry?
Well, I book my flights on reclining airlines from pubs, mainly.
That's what you do.
That's what I do after trying to avoid stamp duty. Look, I'm not... I feel like this is a bit of a virtue signal from the government. Whilst I'm not against it, because anything that's going to help the hospitality industry is a good thing, I feel like this is the government throwing crumbs at an industry that they themselves are helping to decimate. The VAT cut is what the restaurateurs and pub owners are desperate for. The national insurance rise that Rachel Reeves brought on. I mean, she was in tears. Most pub owners are in tears. Most pub owners that I know aren't hiring staff because of that. We are seeing venues right, left and centre closing, and then the government suddenly says, after sort of as well listening to a lot of NIMBYs that say, oh, sorry, you know, it's a bit noisy, now they're suddenly saying, well, actually, we'll let you stay open later. So I just feel like this is crumbs being thrown at an industry that needs proper, solid help, and they're not getting it. Crumbs at an industry that's crumbling, is that fair?
I think you're bang on, actually. I think that our hospitality
Well, I'm
sector...
definitely wrong.
I know.
Sorry, that's making me question everything.
No, but I do think it should be treated as a national emergency. I think, you know, when we look at steelworks closing, we say, oh, my gosh, we need to have government intervention. But the number of pubs that are closing every single day is not seen in the same light, and it absolutely should be. I would actually add, though, on top of, you know, Rachel Reeves' national insurance hike, I would say was the straw that broke the camel's back. I do think you've had, you know, a couple of years of energy price hikes that have led to the closure of many, many pubs.
Also coming straight out of COVID as well. COVID was a big time for hospitality when they were really, really struggling. Don't go anywhere, because we're taking your calls on this after the break. Should pubs and restaurants be allowed to stay open later? Will it help a crumbling industry? 0207 862 2222 is the number you need. We'll see you after this. OK, let's get straight into your calls then, and whether you think that pubs and restaurants should open later. This is the government's plan to let places stay open past midnight in order to try and boost the hospitality industry. Yes, do get your calls in 0207 862 2222. Poppy, nice to hear from you again. What's your view on pubs staying open later? Good idea?
Hi, Storm.
Hi.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, has anybody considered the workers, the people who actually work in the pubs?
Do you think they might not want to stay on? They'd get more money.
Yeah, but would you want to work in a pub until 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning?
Poppy, I did. During university, and didn't attend very many morning lectures because of it, but I did manage to pay my rent. Sometimes you've just got to do what you've got to do.
Did you work through till 4 o'clock in the morning?
No, I didn't. I worked till 2 o'clock because it was a sort of bar and it was in Glasgow, and you have to clean up afterwards. So even when pubs shut at 11:30, the workers are still in there till about 12:30 anyway. And once you're up at that time, Poppy, you're kind of up.
Well, you also have to consider that for a lot of people, I mean, I don't know about you, but me, I certainly was, one of my first jobs was working in a pub doing the washing up. And I think I was 17 at the time, but would I want to have been doing that at, say, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning at that age? No.
I think you're probably right. I wonder whether you need to consider the owners of the pubs or the people paying the wages, because they might not be able to afford the staff in order to keep the pubs open that late. So even though they've got the ability to do it, it may not benefit them in any way. But Poppy, great point. Let's consider the staff. Amy from Carlisle, what's your thoughts?
Hiya. What I was phoning to say, I've completely forgotten after listening to Poppy.
Great.
Because when I used to work in bars when I was at uni, I didn't start till 10 o'clock at night.
Oh.
So if my shift went on until 2, 3, 4 in the morning, that was extra hours for me.
So it only started at 10:30. That's an unusual shift in a pub. Was it more of a club?
I used to go in at 10 o'clock at night and sort of do the last couple of hours behind the bar. And then it was when the song, I want to take a broom and sweep the yard, because I worked in a pub called The Yard.
You're going to cost us a lot of money there, Amy, but luckily it was completely unrecognisable.
I worked in a pub called The Yard in Newcastle. So we used to dance around with the brooms at the end of the night, and that's how I remember it. But what I did phone to say was, in Carlisle, where I live, Wetherspoons opens at 8 o'clock in the morning every day. And I think it's midnight through the week and 1 o'clock over the weekend. Nobody is in from open till close. Now, you have to think of shift workers. You might finish at 8 o'clock in the morning, go in for a couple of pints, 8 till 10, go home, go to bed. You might be sort of a normal, in inverted commas, a normal person that goes in at midday and stays till 3, 4 in the afternoon.
It's a really good point here, Amy. So just so I can get to your point, are you saying that actually we don't work 9 to 5? A lot of people, we have different shifts, and so this gives us a little bit more choice in what time we get to the pub?
24 hours a day would mean that whatever time you finish work, whatever shift you may be on, you can go to the pub for a couple of pints after work, an hour and a half.
I mean, I don't think they're planning on selling alcohol at 8 a.m, Amy, but it might be something that you put to the Conservatives. Thank you very much for your call. Christine from London, what's your view?
Well, listening to both, and good afternoon, panel. No, not at all.
Why?
They're missing the main factors. Years ago, it was cheaper and it was safer. It is no longer safe. It's costly. It's not ideal. There's many things that the government should be looking at rather than staying open till all hours of the morning.
What do you mean it's not safe, Christine? What do you mean by that?
Well, it's not, is it? That the crime rate is up completely. I mean, and I mean, with problems within families with drink, and everything else.
I can understand your concerns. What about, though, shift workers, as our previous caller was saying? Some people don't finish. Some people finish work at 5 so they can go in for a quick pint. They're quite happy to leave at 11:30. But what about people that aren't finishing work till 8, 9 at night? You've got to give them a chance to go in and have some downtime, no?
Yeah, up to a certain time. But when you're talking all hours of the morning, no.
All right, Christine.
It's a problem. It will become a problem.
OK, Christine, thank you very much for your call. Anne from South Yorkshire, one of the reasons Labour are wanting to bring this in is also maybe it's quite a good idea to stagger the end times for pubs. You know, some will finish at 11:30, some will finish at 1, some will finish at 2, and that means you don't get that congestion in the streets when everybody's, you know, a couple of drinks in and a bit leery.
Hello.
Hi there, Anne. What's your thoughts?
Hello, Storm and panel.
Hi.
Right, I just want to mention, it's nice to go out and have I drank when I was younger, but I just want you to spare a thought for the domestic abuse that some people, not just women, men as well, they go home, they've had a big drink, some people know what to drink, some don't, they go home, start beating the wife up, or wife can beat husband up, and this is what I'm concerned about. Pubs could open all the clock round, but if people could behave, don't go out stabbing and things like this, go home and behave, it would be a good thing for the economy.
And you bring up an incredibly serious point there. I suppose the question is to whether domestic violence is, you know, pubs are to blame for that or whether it's the individuals that are to blame for that. But I do take your point that when alcohol's concerned, maybe these things increase. But again, I'll go back to maybe staggered finish times for certain pubs. Some are finishing at 11:30, some are finishing at 12 and 1 o'clock.
Also, the binge nature. If you know a pub's closing at 11, a lot of people go out and think, God, I've got to just get as many drinks in. Whereas if you know it's open later, maybe you're not in that hurry to drink so quickly.
Yeah, and a lot of this really is, sort of NIMBYism, the sort of not in my backyard. A lot of this is that people who buy homes or rent homes near pubs don't want them open after a certain time because they want to get to bed early. And on
that, I completely agree with you as
well.
Don't move near a pub.
Oh, right, OK. I was like, we don't have enough time, Christo,
please. I'm going to throw this into the mix. If I've bought a property right next to a pub that finishes at 11:30, I'm like, fine, I can go to bed at 12. Maybe I'm OK with that. But I didn't buy it with the thoughts that it's going to be open till 1, 2 o'clock. And is that OK for it to change?
There's always a risk. You probably paid a bit less because it's next to a pub, and there's always a risk they might change their hours.
And I do live next to one, and people do hang around until that time in the morning anyway.
Outrageous. I'm
sure
you're out there having a chat.
That doesn't surprise me.
OK, that's all we've got time for, unfortunately. But don't go anywhere because Vanessa...